Good morning, and thank you for joining me today for The Way to a Wonderful Life. I am Reverend Dr. Henry Lee Bates, coming to you live this morning from Palm Springs, California, teaching from the philosophy of the Mastermind Jesus and the wisdom of the ancients. This program is not pre-recorded, nor is it edited. It is live. For more information about this ministry, please visit www.revbates.tv or www.revbatesontheradio.org. You can also find me on youtube.com by going to youtube.com and putting in the search box The Way to a Wonderful Life channel. That's The Way to a Wonderful Life channel, and you'll find over 100 of my radio broadcasts that you can listen to 24/7 in both English and Spanish. You can also go to MSN, Yahoo, Bing, and Google and put in the search box Reverend Henry Bates, that's B-A-T-E-S, and you'll find everything you want to find out about this ministry. Now, this is a healing and teaching ministry where we go beyond religion and we focus on those simple yet profound healing principles given to us by the Mastermind Jesus so that we can believe in our prayer and the answer to it, for we believe and we know that God responds to us by corresponding to our faith and our belief that with God, all good things are possible. With God, all good things are possible. Now, you can send me your prayer requests, your questions, your comments about this program, or you can send a tithe, a faith offering, or a donation in support of this radio ministry, and you can do that from the website, revbates.tv or revbatesontheradio.org, or you can send those to Reverend Henry Bates, that's B-A-T-E-S, P.O. Box 1173, Palm Springs, California, 92263. Once again, that's P.O. Box 1173, Palm Springs, California, 92263. And you can leave me a telephone message in the Los Angeles area at 818-476-0088 or in Palm Springs at 760-778-5677. Once again, this is The Way to a Wonderful Life, coming to you live this morning from Palm Springs, California. I am Reverend Dr. Henry Lee Bates. This program is not pre-recorded, nor is it edited. It is live, and we're going to begin our program with an affirmation of the living Spirit within us as we read in the Scripture, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me, but first we must recognize that the Christ is within us, that the Christ will strengthen us, and we must identify with that spirit of strength and that spirit of confidence and that spirit of self-assurance that we're always sustained and maintained in the Spirit, So let's listen to these words, and if you're not driving or operating something mechanical, just pause and close your eyes and listen for that word, that phrase, or that statement that will stir up the Spirit within you this morning so that you can go forth today in a greater feeling of confidence and self-assurance and hope that all good things are possible with those who believe. So let's listen to these words. The living Spirit is within me. The living Spirit within me is my life, my health, my strength, and my vitality. It is the Christ within me. This living Spirit within me is my supply. It prospers all my affairs and is limitless in supplying my good. I draw on the inexhaustible substance of Spirit, which knows no limit. Abundance is my birthright, and I claim it now. The living Spirit within me is my intelligence. It guides and directs me in all my ways, ensuring that my every good desire is already complete. I acknowledge this as an accomplished fact now, right now, so I go forth in confidence and assurance, and with the positive conviction that the living Spirit of God is within me and all is good in my world, and so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. So once again, this is The Way to a Wonderful Life, coming to you live from Palm Springs, California. I am Reverend Dr. Henry Lee Bates. Our Way to a Wonderful Life message for today is Prospering Power our evidence of faith. Prospering power, our evidence of faith. And I have some words here from the great Ruthanna Schenck from her book, Be Ye Prospered, which was published first in 1928. And this book has been around since 1928. And as we grasp the principles of truth held in these words, we too shall find that we too shall be prospered. So let's listen to these words. We cannot remind you too often of the words of the greatest teacher, Jesus. According to your faith, be it done unto you. With an open, receptive mind, with a willingness, even an eagerness, to try your powers, begin now the conscious practice of the great principle of life upon which is based the law of prosperity. And what is this principle? It is this: give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Whether you are conscious of the fact or not, everything that you possess has come to you because you have given its equivalent in some form. Perhaps you have only given a thought or a word, but thoughts and words are things in the process of formation, and every one of them counts. Since you possess this mighty giving power, give it in such a way that it will bring you what you want. Before you pray for specific things, duly consider what the things stand for. Doing that, you can include in your prayers desire for the reality rather than the symbol. You can then more readily recognize the good that is trying to come to you in hundreds of ways, and you can more understandingly cooperate with God in bringing about that good. You can more understandingly cooperate with God in bringing about that good. That's from Ruthanna Schenck, from her book, Be Ye Prospered, which was first published in 1928. So we know that the power of belief and faith is illustrated throughout the Old Testament of the Holy Bible and dynamically through the teachings of the Mastermind Jesus in the New Testament, specifically the Gospels. And for those who are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Song of God, we know that the power of belief and faith was discovered thousands of years before the Holy Bible. And so we realize that the power of belief and faith is a law of mind that is changeless, universal, and eternal. The law of mind was identified by the Mastermind Jesus, and he instructed his followers to pray believing that it is. Pray believing that it is, and it is done unto you as you believe. In other words, pray believing that you have it. Let your faith be the evidence of what you know to be true for you about you. Pray believing that it is. Let go of the wanting, the longing, the desire, and know that it already is. It already is. And that knowing that it is, that praying and believing, affirming that it is, makes it done unto you as you believe. And so all of this is good and wonderful, and we can accept it intellectually without argument. But our intellectual acceptance of this truth is of the nature of our surface mind. But we must embody it in our deeper mind, our soul level of mind, in order for us to use the power that is available to us. What we accept at the soul level is what we believe to be true, that is absolute, with no doubting. As we read from the book of James 1:6, but let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. In other words, as the mystical Ernest Holmes would say, either we are believing that it is, or we are believing that it is not. We must establish conviction in our mind that is held in the deepest recesses of our mind as the truth and keep faith with it. So how do we establish this conviction with so many distractions in the world around us? And how do we establish this conviction when we have allowed ourselves to believe in something else for so long? We do it by bringing heaven to earth. In other words, we establish the truth in our mind that as within, so without, and according to my faith, it is done unto me. And we use a symbol of whatever it is that we seek to receive that impression on our mind until this impression is so realized as an embodiment in consciousness of that which we seek to have, to do, or to be, that it cannot be anything but that. As an example, if we want to receive more money, whether it be an increase in pay, an increase in the value of our stocks, a job or a promotion, or to receive unexpected income, we use money as the symbol in our giving. Why is money a symbol? Why is money a symbol? Because our desire for money is truly a desire for so much more than just money. We desire happiness and financial freedom, the ability to be generous, or the security of having money to meet our financial requirements. We desire the peace of mind of having the ability to choose what we are to do, what we are to be, and what we are to have without any thought of money negating our enthusiasm to do it, to be it, or to have it. Underlying so much of our thoughts about things that we hope for, pray for, and desire is where is the money going to come from? Where is the money going to come from? Or we want to do more, be more, or have more, but we need the money. The old-time religion types have taught us that money is the root of all evil, yet ministers, preachers, priests, and churches are constantly asking us to give of this root of all evil to the church or the ministry. Seems odd, doesn't it? Yet woven into this contradiction, there is a universal truth. Our supply, including money, comes through our consciousness, which is God in us, and by giving money through tithing, donations, or faith offerings to churches, synagogues, mosques, or ministries, we connect the symbol to the source of our supply, and the law, that sowing and reaping universal law, eternal and changeless law, automatically increases what we give. Perhaps not in money each time, but in something that increases our joy, our happiness, our peace of mind, our confidence, and most importantly, our self-esteem. And these almost always bring us an increase in our supply of whatever it is that we need or desire. Now, once again, we may accept this intellectually, but that won't necessarily compel us to give of our money. People don't give for a variety of reasons. They believe they can't afford to give money, or they believe that if they give, they will have less, or they believe that other people have the money to give, so they don't need to. There are a myriad of similar reasons, or they simply don't understand the absolute principle involved, and some people are embarrassed. They're embarrassed because they only have a little to give, but it doesn't take a lot. There's no amount that is necessary. It's our intention to follow the law, our intention to let the law work for us by working through us. No matter what the reason may be, by not giving or withholding, we consciously are developing a poverty consciousness, which is a perversion of our real nature. Our real nature is to understand that we are living in a world of abundance, and just as Jesus tells us in the Lord's Prayer, you give us this day our daily bread, and that bread symbolizes the abundant life, the joyful life, the wonderful life that we're all here to live to. We're all here to glorify God in all that we do, and we don't glorify God by being broke or being stingy or watching our pennies so that we don't get into bankruptcy or financial debt or problems with money. And whether it is experienced as a lack of money, this poverty consciousness can also develop a lack of health, a lack of happiness, a lack of friendship, companionship, a lack of creative ideas and success. It is a poverty that must be healed before it is revealed in ways that diminish our love of life, our love of God, and even our love of ourselves. For those who are confused about this spiritual giving, it is not about a percentage, 10%, that's superstition for so many people, because you have to believe in that tithing of 10% for that to really work for you, but it's about giving. It's not about the amount we give, it is about our ability to establish within our consciousness that we always have something to give. Perhaps not $1,000, but $100. Perhaps not $100, but $10. Perhaps not $10, but $1. What is important is that we give to that which stirs up the spirit of abundance, prosperity, and generosity within us, within our mind, within the image that we hold in our mind about ourselves, and this translates into receiving more and in turn giving more. So as we find this increase, where we develop this consciousness of prosperity and we realize the surplus, instead of $1, we give $10. Instead of $10, we give $100. Instead of $100, we give $1,000. And I think we're all getting this principle, right? We're all getting it. We're all allowing ourselves to get our mind wrapped around it so we understand it. We all have the prospering power of God within us, that is, within our very own consciousness. But we must recognize that we do. And then we must identify with it, not just in our thoughts and words, but by the sharing of our prosperity. In this way, we are establishing the evidence of our faith and putting our faith into action, And as we look at those wonderful words from the Ruthanna Schenck's book, Be Ye Prospered, we can read, we do not consciously put obstacles in the way of our prosperity, but we often do so unconsciously from habit. We want wealth, yet because it is the customary thing to do, we talk about hard times, or we accuse our neighbors of miserliness, or we fear that next year's crops will fail, or that we'll lose our job, or some terrible thing will befall us. How shall we make smooth prosperity's path to us? We must realize and declare that in the Spirit, abundance is already ours. In the Spirit, abundance is already ours. So we go back to those words of the Mastermind Jesus, according to your faith be it done unto you. According to your faith be it done unto you, and we're going to pray that it is. Pray believing that it is. Stop the longing, stop the wanting, stop the desiring, and establish in your consciousness, by establishing the words and the thoughts in your mind, that it already is, that it is. It is. That good thing that we desire is, but it's up to us to find it. It's up to us to seek it. It's up to us to knock on the door of our consciousness until we have the awareness of it. So that's why Jesus said, ask and you shall receive. In other words, ask in the Aramaic language of Jesus means to claim it. Claim it. Claim it and you shall receive it. Seek it and you shall find it. Seek it. Look for it. Know that it is, and you've got to find it. Knock and the door will be open. So knock on the door of our consciousness until we have the awareness of the thing being present and available to us. So with an open and receptive mind and with a willingness, even an eagerness to try your powers, begin now the conscious practice of the great principle of life upon which is based the law of prosperity. This is from Ruthanna Schenck from her book, Be Ye Prospered, published first in 1928. What is this principle of prosperity? It is this: give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Whether you are conscious of the fact or not, everything that we possess has come to us because we have given its equivalent in some form. Perhaps we have given only a thought or a word, but thoughts and words are things in the process of formation, and every one of them counts. Since we possess this mighty giving power, give it in such a way that it will bring you what you want, and before you pray for specific things, duly consider what the things stand for. Doing that, you can include in your prayers desire for the reality rather than for the symbol. In other words, when we pray for money, we're really praying for so much more than money. We all realize that. Having money alone will not bring us happiness. I could have $5 million in Fort Knox right now, and it wouldn't make me one iota happier. But if I know that I'm using that money to do the things that I want to do, to be the thing that I want to be, to have the things that I want to have, and allowing myself to share it with the people in the world around me and feel that sense of generosity, that sense of knowing that I have something to give at all times, then I shall find my awareness of life, my awareness of this thing called life, this power, this essence, this spirit, this love, this happiness and joy and harmony and peace and bliss moving through my mind, my heart, and my soul every day in a more wonderful way. But it's up to us to make the decision to go from desiring it, from longing it, from wanting it, to believing that it is. That's why our prospering power is connected to the evidence of our faith. The evidence of our faith. Give, and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be given to you. For with the same measure that you measure, it will be measured back to you. In other words, the same joy and the same willingness, the same good intentions that we have in giving, connecting with the Spirit, connecting with the principle, connecting with the power of God, that will be the thing that comes back to us to that same measure, that measure of our faith. So let's re-examine these words one more time. We do not consciously put obstacles in the way of our prosperity, but we often do so unconsciously from habit. But we want wealth, yet because it is the customary thing to do, we talk about hard times, or we accuse our neighbors of miserliness, or we fear that next year's crops will fail. Remember, she wrote this in 1928. She must have been talking to a bunch of farmers. How shall you make smooth prosperity's path to you? Realize and declare in spirit that abundance is yours. Declare that it is right now. Declare that it is. As Jesus said, pray knowing that it is. Pray knowing that the evidence of your faith, that thing that you hold in your mind is the thing for you, that you can claim it as yours, that you see in the great invisible of your mind, your thoughts, the images that move through your mind, through your divine use of imagination. Declare those are true for you now. Begin to see yourself healthier than you felt in days. Begin to see yourself happier. Quit talking about the economy. Quit talking about the debt ceiling. Quit listening to the people that all they can talk about is what's wrong rather than what's right. Talk about the increased revenue that you're going to bring forth into your own personal experience. Talk about the increased joy that you're going to feel and you're going to share with others. Talk about the love in your heart that moves through you as good ideas and gives you a greater awareness of this thing called life and your place in it. Begin to let yourself feel that glory of God moving through you, expressing as you, and let it be a part of your life and all that you do. Bring into your mind the givingness, the lovingness, the forgivingness of God in everything. Begin to let yourself be free of the world's nonsense. Be free of the religious dogma. Be free of anything that diminishes that self within you that is the living Spirit of God within you that's seeking to express through you uniquely and perfectly and wonderfully in whatever way it is that you are guided and directed to express this thing called life as you. Begin to believe that it is. Begin to believe that this isness is a law of God. This isness is the principle in its most absolute state as we take it into our mind, take it into the deeper recesses of our mind, and find that when deep calls into deep, there's a simultaneous agreement, and that truth that will come from that truth will be embodied in some way, shape, or form. That truth will be actualized in the material in some way, shape, or form, because as within, so without. Believe that it is, and it's done according to your faith, Jesus said. Pray believing that it is, and you shall have it. Pray believing that it is, and you shall experience it. Pray believing that it is, and you shall feel the joy of knowing that God is responding to you by corresponding to that which you believe to be true about you. And that's the greatest joy we will ever experience, the greatest happiness and peace of mind that can come to us. But no one in the world can give it to us. No one in the world can take it away from us. once we establish it in our own consciousness and believe it, and we shall start receiving all the power, all the energy, all the vitality, all the radiance of the Spirit necessary, and all the intelligence to lift our awareness up into greater heights of livingness, greater heights of givingness, and greater heights of forgivingness, and greater heights of loving this thing called life in the most wonderful way. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and will be given to you. For with the same measure you measure, it will be measured back to you. So let's learn to give. Let's learn to forgive. Let's learn to let the loving Spirit of God move through our mind as creativity, as an increase in our good. Let's begin to see the image likeness of ourselves filled with the love and the joy of God, filled with the peace and the harmony of the infinite. Let's let ourselves be aware of all the beauty in the world around us, and the beauty in the people around us, and the beauty within our own soul, which is seeking to bloom where we're planted, to bloom where we're planted. We cannot remind ourselves too often of the words of Jesus, according to your faith, be it done unto you. Give, and it shall be given you. Pray, believing that it is, and it is done unto you as you believe. And as the mystical Ernest Holmes said, either we are believing that it is, but we are believing that it is not. Either we are believing that it is, that we have it, that God has given it to us, that we've been gifted with it, or we're believing that it is not. So let's take it in our mind today one more time and remind ourselves, life is not a test. Life is a gift. Life is not a test. Life is a gift, and you give us, you, God, a divine joy that lives and reigns supreme in the universe. You are Creator, the Almighty, the supreme power and presence and spirit and intelligence of the world. You give us this day our daily bread, and as that truth moves through my consciousness, moves through your consciousness, and we establish it as the absolute truth for us today, and to believe and begin to believe that our health is, our wonderful, beautiful, excellent health is, our healing power, prospering power within our consciousness is, and that the lovingness, forgivingness, and givingness of God is present and available right now where we are. It is, and then we can know that it is. We can rejoice and give thanks right now, right where we are, for the best of times and the best of everything. And so it is. Amen. Once again, I want to thank you for being with me today. It's been my great pleasure to have you, and I hope you join me for my next broadcast right here on KTYM, AM 1460 radio, and at www.ktym.com next Sunday morning, 7:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 9:30 Central Time, 10:30 Eastern Time for The Way to a Wonderful Life. You can also find me at youtube.com by going to youtube.com and putting in the search box The Way to a Wonderful Life channel. That's The Way to a Wonderful Life channel, where you'll find over 100 of my radio broadcasts that you can listen to 24/7 in both English and Spanish. You can also go to MSN, Yahoo, Bing, and Google and put in the search box Reverend Henry Bates, that's Bates, and you'll find everything you want to find out about this ministry. Be sure and send me your prayer requests, your questions, your comments about this program, and I also appreciate a tithe, a love offering, or faith offering in support of this radio ministry, and you can send those from the website revbates.tv or revbates on the radio.org, or you can mail those to Reverend Henry Bates, that's Bates, P.O. Box 1173, Palm Springs, California, 92263. So once again, let's remind ourselves and let's believe it. Let's know right now, right where we are, that God is blessing us, healing us, prospering us, the living Spirit within us, the image, likeness of God within us, that spark of the divine within us is our life, our health, our strength, and our vitality. It is our supply. It prospers us, heals us, and blesses us in limitless ways when we are open and receptive to it. So let's be open and receptive to all the good that we desire today. Let's be open and receptive to enthusiasm. Let's get excited about life. Let's begin to love life just as Jesus said, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. Equally important, love your neighbor as yourself, and let that love of life transform and renew our mind. Let it move through us as everything good that we can imagine for ourselves, and realize that right now, right where we are living the wonderful life.